Should I do the intro?
Hell yeah.
I fucking love the intro.
That shit.
Okay.
Fire.
Yeah.
21 Savage, the intro.
This brother here, myself, all of us were born with our hair like this, and we just wear it like this. The reason for it, you might say, is like a new awareness among black people that their own natural appearance, its physical appearance is beautiful.
Coils, the whole project, I want people to know where it come from. And like, it's from my hair and shit. Like, during COVID, for one, I hadn't been cutting my hair anyway, but during COVID, I couldn't even get to the barbershop. So I was really just looking like, what the fuck ever. You know what I'm saying?
We all
and,
would.
Yeah.
Are.
Yeah. And my kid looked at me one day, I was like, she just roasted me like a little coil head or whatever. And like, she was talking about my hair because they like, you know, spring up. And then like, once I like got my shit cut or something, I was out in public and like 3 more people this summer was like, your hair's so different. Like, it's not really like curly, it's like a coil. Like, they look like a bunch of little coils in your head, like little springs or something. And I was like, all right, for sure. So I fell into that, you know what I'm saying? Because prior to this shit, last year I had never grew my hair out except for one time in 6th grade. I had the same fucking haircut.
So you ain't know what the fuck that shit was gonna look like.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so this was something new for me, and like just seeing how the world kind of interact with you differently was also inspirational on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was
With the hair like that, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like out in the burbs, like grocery
It
shopping,
felt fun.
it's a much different fucking experience. You know what I mean? And like that shit, you know, made me just think about just being black and how we got these features and they fucking demonized and people prejudge you. And
when you flaunt your black features, motherfuckers call it shit like ghetto and shit, or like look at you like he's got dreads. Black shit do be demonized unless it's like a fat ass. You know what I'm saying? Because before this new shit, you know, only black women had fat asses.
Not just in the suburbs too, because like you said, that shit is like in the hood too.
Yeah.
And you got a fresh haircut, you might be, you know, fresh meat. Like
You fresh meat. You're too clean. You're too clean.
7 miles, fresh haircut.
And this little, what you got, a Benz?
Nigga, you got the naps on and shit. Niggas like, I ain't fucking with
I'm gonna leave it alone.
It's different. It's
Dog probably cut.
And like to Olu's point, like nigga, this shit just come out my head.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
If you
Like,
decide to grow your hair naturally, it's gonna look like that. And if you don't press your shit and wear it straight, you know what I'm saying, or cut your shit the fuck off, you know what I'm saying, then white people gonna look at it weird.
It's safer and more unassuming to have a haircut, and that's not saying that niggas do it for that reason. Because the shit be crispy.
You're right though.
But it's all
right though.
Once you like growing my hair out, being a nigga who was always like people who was like, oh, your wave's nice or whatever. I don't like this shit.
You were clean cut.
Yeah, and then go to this shit, and it's like, what are you doing with your hair? Like, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck happened? Like, you need to do something when you getting a haircut, this type of shit. And it's like,
But you notice the millionaires doing this shit now, so
it's
kind of breaking the mold. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and I fuck with that shit.
But that's,
I do too.
I never noticed that it was demonized, right? Until I've had a haircut my whole life, nigga. This COVID and shit had me grow my shit out. Even when I was still working at the dealerships, when I noticed that they started saying like, oh man, you need to like, you need to do something.
About that time.
About that time.
Like the older ones, they like, shit, you better shit. If you ain't got no haircut, you basically ain't got no job. The older days, he ain't got no haircut, he ain't working. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody respect nobody.
Don't nobody care.
And then it seemed like certain times it'd be like an erasing, like you gotta erase that heritage type thing. Like you got braids, you got dreads, and you go to certain shits, like you gotta cut that.
Yeah.
Why?
I've been to schools where you can't have fucking braids.
You can't have in a school?
They're unprofessional.
In a what?
They're unprofessional.
Did you say in a school though?
Yeah.
That seemed like a fucking amendment violation.
Was that capitalism?
The thing about hair is that like that is just a window into a much broader set of standards that are applied, right? And like certain parameters that you cannot violate and without there being repercussions. It's not just that like having your hair styled a certain way comes with blowback, but it is defiance. Like,
It's defiance.
It defies.
You're being a rebel now.
It defies like what acceptable standards of appearance are, and to do that is to like call into question like entire systems that say certain people are slotted into certain roles,
social,
and certain appearances are slotted into a hierarchy of value. And so to wear your hair and like defy a set of standards like calls the whole shit into question.
It's gonna be black out loud.
What's that word?
It's gonna be black out loud.
Saying, like,
keep it down.
Exactly.
Keep it down. We know you black.
You like anywhere you go, the the higher ups tell you like you gotta cut your hair, like you know what I'm saying.
And it's just arbitrary. Like it means absolutely. I mean, candidly, like if you were gonna profile somebody based on what their appearance and what it might mean, the most violent people in the world wear suits.
Mm-hmm.
You mean?
Yeah.
Like bar
Exactly.
none.
Yep.
Bar none.
Clean as
Yep.
fuck.
Bar
But
none.
they're so socially accepted by what they're doing, but like by like outward appearance that they behind the door shit just goes like under the fucking rug. Like if that nigga wear a suit, yeah, he sell kids. You know what I'm saying? And fucking, he's a pedophile. But that nigga wear a suit. He's a millionaire. Leave him alone. You know what I'm saying?
Or right, or like hold the fucking, the lockbox to the nuclear codes. Like, can literally collapse civilization. You know what I mean? Can wipe this bitch out.
Yeah. Like, I ain't real religious or nothing, but I've noticed the difference in people, you know what I'm saying, who let their hair grow. And even like, man, it's something to that shit, bro.
Yeah.
It's something to that shit.
Just kind of accepting in the background that you're supposed to keep your hair cut and low for your entire life. Like, you have accepted a script. You've accepted a role that you've been cast in without having any input in it. So when you say to yourself, when you make a conscious decision to say, like, oh, I'm going to do something that defies a set of standards that have been imposed on me, it can absolutely be.
What are
spiritual.
those things?
It
What
can
is
be
that called?
It's really like United States has a caste system, like you have in India, or like Nazi Germany tried to impose, which is that there are certain groups that are slotted into certain spots, and sometimes like who is called white changes, but there is a group of people who are called white that are slotted for a certain into a certain spot in the into the hierarchy.
Yeah, of
and
whiteness.
black people who is black may change some, like in certain parts of the world I wouldn't be called black right now, but blackness is still the bottom rung in the caste system, and like things like hair are supposed to give you easy explanations for how to interpret the world. And we end up doing the same thing too. But when people make a conscious decision to say, I'm going to make a decision to do something different with my hair, it's an experience, man. It is like,
I've never felt comfortable having my hair past a certain point until COVID, where I couldn't get it cut, and then it was real relieving. Like, oh shit, I can't get a haircut, or I'm ugly. Fuck you. You know, like I can't get a haircut. Bitch, I'm at work. What's up? You know, like nigga, it's all good.
I think a couple of y'all read Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, but there's this line in the book where he's talking about the fiction of race. Like, race is not a real biological thing. Like, black isn't a real thing until 500 years ago. They made us a race. We made us a people. There's nothing naturally true about race. It's not a real thing. Doesn't exist in anything outside of like the invention that it is a social construct. It doesn't exist outside of that. And we made ourselves a people that have certain things that we now celebrate together. And the two sides of that, to get back to the intro, on the first part, Cleaver is talking about celebrating. It's talking about the aspect like we made us a people. We are now celebrating these features of ourselves. And in the second part, with the woman's name who's escaping me right now, but she's talking about the other half of it. They made us a race, and that comes with certain consequences that we can't escape.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you meant to weave it together like that, but that immediately came to mind. And
That shit crazy though.
It wasn't intentional.
That's how it just worked out like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Not that.
my nigga Pop.
And then Pop, yeah.
Hey, when I heard Pop, I went to drink my drink and sat it back down like, oh shit, is that who I think it is? Shut up, let me sit this cover. I just held it like, damn, let me think what this nigga said.
I had heard that pop quote before. I don't realize shit.
Niggas done heard every pop quote.
Damn near.
Every pop quote, nigga.
Yeah, dog.
All quotables.
Yeah, that was a good ass intro.
Cool, yeah, I'm glad. Shit, I was about to skip over that bitch and go into the
I'm glad you
To
did.
be 100% honest, when I said the intro was perfect, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about the song,
The
the
next
first
joint.
song.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sage.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that's called. The first song called Sage.
Yeah, I
Not
thought
to
that was
relate,
part
that
of
shit
the
was
song.
good.
like, Savage.